Welcome to Eye on the Illini Halftime Live. This is Mike Kegley here with Kedrick Prince. Let's do a little recap here. Illinois up 14-13 at the half. Big sack on third down when Illinois had an opportunity to keep a drive alive, which gives the opportunity to Duke, who comes down and makes it a 1-point game. Illinois with 133 total yards of offense. Duke with 240. Menza, who we knew was a good quarterback, if you listen to Eye on the Illini's preview, Menza is 14 for 22 with 187 yards, one touchdown. And I think the key thing there is that Illinois was beneficiary, and they earned one turnover with Gabe Akes forcing a fumble, and the muffed punt, which helped Illinois. The two turnovers are really the reason why Illinois is in the lead. And probably, Ked, the most frustrating thing for me is the fact that it's only halftime and Luke Altmaier has been sacked 4 times. That has to be concerning for the Fighting Illini.
Mike, I did a lot of radio shows this week and podcasts this week, and I told people, and if I have to go back to researchers to show them, I'm not surprised. When Duke played Elon last week, people laughed and thought, yeah, okay, it was Elon. This defense is tough. I don't think people realize, you just mentioned Luke Altmaier's been sacked 4 times. And if you want to, Google is free, okay? You go back and look at 2004 and look at the 6th ranked team in the country with sacks. It was Duke. I watched them play last week, and yeah, Illinois offensive line, I think they're powerful, but they're being manhandled right now by a much more smaller athletic team. We always talk about which is better, the strength or athleticism. They're just being in the schemes. I mean, that Luke doesn't have time to throw the ball, and he's being rushed. Whatever it is, they have to figure out, because I think Luke has rushed some passes because he's throwing the ball behind receivers, in front of receivers. The line play has to clean up, and they have to be able to open up the hole to run the ball. Because if you're not going to complete passes, Mike, and you're going to miss some, you can't go 3 and out and then keep the defense on the field. It's hot down there in North Carolina.
Well, the other thing that's frustrating is Illinois' rushing. Right now, of course, you count those 4 sacks as rushing yards lost, but right now Illinois is 17 rushing attempts for -4 yards. And if you take those out, the rushing of Altmaier, you still end up with 17 for 25 yards. So I mean, you're talking a not a very impressive first half rushing wise. And it looks like Duke is playing with 9 defensive linemen, because they seem to be covering every gap. And even on that last third down play that Altmaier took the sack on, J.C. Davis took one guy, and Fagan had to choose between a guy coming up the middle and a guy coming from outside. He took one step towards the middle. Defensive end went around him. If he would have taken a step out to the defensive end, I think the defensive tackle or whoever is coming up the middle would have went around him. It's a real testament to the ability to get turnovers. Gabe Akes, again, forcing a turnover that saved a touchdown. Illinois could be down a lot worse right now.
Oh, they could be, and I'm not going to blame you. Care about the officiating. That last play was not a touchdown. He did not have possession of the ball. His foot drug in. I agree with it, but that was not a touchdown because he fumbled the ball. I don't even think it was in his hands, but maybe they didn't look at that. But they should be down worse than what it is. They're very lucky. Illinois is only up by 1, and they cannot come out of the half and go 3 and out. They have to be able to sustain some drives, Mike. You're exactly right. You talk about rushing, and this is a game where you have to try to get them on the outside. Well, I don't even know if that'll work because they cover so well. Like I said, there's a reason that the spread is 2.5. Illinois is not going to blow them out, and you can see that as soon as they got the lead, they came right down the field, and they're throwing 30 and 40-yard, 50-yard passes. and it's tough. It is, and they're going to have to make some adjustments. Whatever those adjustments are, they have to slow them down because you're right. You talked about it before we got on air. Every team Illinois faces is not going to be this athletic. I'm sorry. We can talk about the ACC and the power of the Big Ten all you want. They're not going to face very many teams like Duke's defense. I know this is not practical to hear because Duke is a basketball school traditionally, but this is a very good defense, and Illinois has to figure it out. So I'm not going to sit and be upset about it because at the end of the day, they're good. Like I told you, they were one of the top 10 teams in the country. I think they average 4 or 5 sacks a game, and Luke's been hit 4 times, like we said. So the bottom line is this: it's about making some adjustments, which they have to do, and they have to keep Luke healthy. Because if you don't keep Luke healthy, you're going to see Ethan Hampton, who's not a bad option, but you're going to see him on the field a lot sooner than what you think. Because Luke is looking all over his shoulders, and people are saying on social media, "Oh, he looks like he did when he was a freshman." A sophomore. I don't think that's true. There's just not a lot of time to throw the ball, and when you do get the ball thrown to you, you got to make the plays.
Well, and look, folks, Luke has been forced due to the rush to throw the ball off of when he's going backwards off his back foot because he can't step in because he's got guys coming at him. That is very hard to hit a receiver in the hands when you're going away from where you're trying to throw the ball, and you're seeing some of the effects on that. Hank Beatty has proven that he can get open. Dixon's been open, Bostwick, and even Hudson Clement. And I love the throw to Cole Rusk. That was a perfect pass. There was no one in that stadium who could catch that ball other than Cole Rusk. And the other thing that was neat about that pass, was that they forced Cole to use his talent because the only guy who could have got that was him. Nice touchdown play. But boy, Illinois has to get some time for Luke to make a play. And I'm just concerned. I know teams aren't going to be as fast. This is, of course, Manny Diaz, who coached at Miami, had good teams down there. And also, or at least good defensive teams down there, and also obviously was the defensive coordinator for Penn State. So you're looking at a guy who is, used to playing big games, big teams, big talent, and he has devised a defense that is very, very quick and making it hard on Illinois. So Gus has a question for you, Ked. I think you semi-answered this one, but what are your thoughts about Illinois pulling away on this?
Well, I think it's going to go down to the wire. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'll be honest with you. The one thing I've said too this week, and I'm not going to renege on it, Illinois has been really, really good at making second half adjustments. I really do believe that. They're going to have to try to get the ball out in the flat. They're going to have to try to get the ball. And when they have slot receivers, they have to make plays because you make those plays, then it opens up the running game. You have to do that. So do I think they're going to win? If these coaches are doing what I think they've done, and they've done well in the years past, I think they do pull it out because I think they're a good second half team. And they were 5-1 last year in 1 or 2 possession games. So, I think they're good at that. But that was last year. But you cannot make the plays that you're doing right now and expect to win. You're on the road. You don't want to leave the game in the hands of the officials because we saw at the end of the half what could happen if you do that. You can't have silly penalties either. You can't do that. Now we talk about this is 16 of 22 starters coming back. Now it's time to show. But what I find fascinating, and I'll end with this, I've never seen so many text messages on my phone right next to me and comments on social media about the offensive line play. People are very disappointed with that. And I can tell you at halftime, I know that conversation can't be good. It just can't be because I know they have to be embarrassed because they're better than that.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest with you. I think I would be more concerned with Duke pulling away just because they are the home team. I would like to see Illinois, settle down and do some ground and pound. I also, as we look at this, we've got a couple comments here. Give carries to Valentine. Fagan has been a little bit frustrating, but he started to get a little bit of a wind up there. The ironic thing about these running backs, if you look, Caden Fagan, 6 attempts, 10 yards, but he got 7 of them on one carry, which means you had 5 carries for 3 yards. You got Valentine, who has 2 carries for 9. Obviously, that 11 yards was the his initial carry. Lowry is got a 6-yard run, but he's 4 carries for 5 yards, which means he's 3 carries for -1. Illinois has a huge number of negative plays, and I think you've got to do. People have noticed. You've got to get the ball out to the flat, and the way they are flooding the gaps. If you can get the ball out quick enough, there should be yards to be gained there by the Illini, but you got to get the ball out, because you can't, if they're going to go man to man, you have to make them pay, and that's where I think Illinois has been challenged. I will say one thing. I'm not certain you want to run play action all the time, because by the time you fake a handoff, it seems like there's too many people in the backfield. So I would much prefer, a couple quick hitters when the rush is coming at you. Obviously, these are easy things to talk about and a lot harder to do when you've got 11 guys chasing after you.
I want to comment on this because I've seen 2 of our comments, and this is just me. We can all agree to disagree. I would love to see Luke run the ball too, but not today. Today, I don't think that's a recipe, because one, they're too athletic. Luke is a decent athlete. The chances of him running and doing anything with it and getting hurt, to me, it's not worth it. Not today, it's not. Other games possibly, because yes, you want to keep them honest, and I just don't know if that'll work, and I don't know if again, I don't want to take the chance of him getting hurt. Caden Fagan is a power running back, and it takes him a while to get going. But once he gets going, I think he's strong enough. I think he's quick enough. But that first step is not working today. Again, we can be negative and critical on Illinois' part, but I'm telling you, and this defense is not going to stop. They're going to continue to do it. And if Illinois doesn't make adjustments, I'm telling you, Luke will be sacked at least 9 times before the game is over with, and could possibly be hurt. So the bottom line is, you have to protect him, use tight ends more, and that's another option. Illinois doesn't. I mean, I know a lot of schools, old school guys, Kirk Ferentz in Iowa, they use that tight end. I mean, you got to use that. Luke Altmaier, sorry, Cole Rust is a really, really good tight end. People say, well, he doesn't block as well, because it's an adjustment for him, but he's fast enough, and you can get him out in the open. He has good hands. That can take some of the pressure off front. But if they don't run the ball, and this is a Big Ten team, you don't run the ball against Duke, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be tough this season.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking, you could put Rusk out at wide receiver and just, you see a blitz coming, just throw the ball high and let him go get it. I think ultimately what we've got to see is we've got to see some sort of rhythm on offense, and that means that Lunny starts calling some plays that the offense establishes a rhythm. I didn't think that they got into that, and I didn't think they looked confident at any point in the first half, except for the tail end of that second drive. I think they looked a little, or the second, where they get the second touchdown. But I think for a lot of this, Illinois just has to try to figure out how you're going to deal with that pass rush, and then what you're going to do to make Duke pay for that. And just going on again, a couple things I think that we don't always talk about, but when you look at what is going on, Illinois historically, one of the things that I think is interesting is Gabe Yakus now has 19 career sacks. So that puts him up to number 5 on the all-time list. And at number 4 is Mike Pileski at 20, and Fred Wakefield at 21 is 3, and Scott Davis at 23 is number 2. So Gabe could, with a good half or good couple 3 games here, he could actually be number 2 in Illini history for sacks, and he forced another fumble today. So that gives him that's the 6th forced fumble of Gabe's career.
I want to hear his name be called a lot more in the second half because, yes, we know he's that good. And, Mike, I know the halftime is going to be over here soon. I was going to start here real soon. I don't want to end us on a negative note, but the most disappointing drive to me was the last drive they had. They had a turnover, and you had a chance to go put 21 points on the board, and then they peed on their legs. That was disappointing to me. And then you give up a touchdown. That is concerning. I know it's early, and this is a good test for them. It's a really good test for them, and I just really want to see them make plays, and I want to see J.C. Davis become more effective. I don't want to see him because he just looks like he's a step slow today.
Yeah, I agree. And again, you wonder, he spent some of the preseason, missing some practices. So you hope he's back to full strength, and certainly styles make fights. So you're going to see that you go from Western Illinois to their defense to Duke. It does sometimes take you some time, very similar to basketball season when you play a cupcake and then you show up against a real team. It takes a little bit of time to adjust. But I would like to see Illinois find a way to capitalize on what they do well, which some of that's got to be smash mouth football, and some of it you've got to decide that if there's a guy over the top of you, you're not going to let him through, and we need to see that. And I agree. We didn't see the late hit, but it seemed pretty stupid, the one that happened against Mensa. That seems stupid. But I will say that if you're going to, there was no way that was a 1-to-1 that half. Luke got hit on the sideline. I thought that should have easily been a call. And I thought, and the other thing that frustrates me is when they called Illinois for holding, and you saw the hands on the back of the jersey, it was a legitimate hold on the right tackle. I saw Gabe Yakas twice in that same kind of grip, right into right in front of the camera, and no holds called. So you'd like to see some of that go. But the bottom line is Illinois got to figure out if you can't protect your quarterback, that means your running game's going to be tough. That means your passing is going to be tough. They've got to figure that some play combinations, and the line just has to elevate their play.
If you're going to be the 11th best team in the country and playing on the road, you're not going to get some of those calls. It's time it's time to man the hell up and go play Big Ten football and earn your 11th ranking, because we know everybody's going to be after them all year. All the articles that we wrote, all the things that we read, that's great. It's good talk, and it's good for the offseason. Now it's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah, and I would remind people, of course, here it is at the end of the first half. Illinois has been outgained 240 to 133, been outpassed 187 to 137, outrushed 53 to -4 in yards, and Illinois is up at the half. So you have to take that and say, okay, we did enough in the first half to come in here with a lead. Now, what do we do better to maintain that and make sure that we come in the second half? So the bottom line is that there are some things that are concerning, but Illinois has the lead. Now they've got to figure out how to turn that dime and make sure that they have the opportunity here to come out of here with a W, because this is a pivotal game, because you've got this game, and of course, in 2 weeks, you have Indiana. In 3 weeks, I believe it's USC, and then Ohio State. So it doesn't get any easier. Ked, any final thoughts?
I don't care if it's a half a point. There's no such thing. Get the hell out of there with a win, and then continue to get better. That's the bottom line for me. Get the win no matter what it looks like, because this Duke team is going to win 8 or 9 games again this year.
Yeah, they're gonna win 9 games. I got to be honest with you. When I heard they let Malik go, I thought, what are they doing? And I'll give Mensa credit. He is certainly played quite well, except for his one time when he lost track of Gabe Yakas, which cost them a fumble. Other than that, he has played a very good game. This is a very good Duke team, And we can say anything we want about ACC as an overall conference, but there are some good teams. I would put Clemson up against just about anybody. I'm not sold all the way on Florida State yet. And this Duke team, I think, will give just about anybody a game just because of the sheer athleticism that they have when they go towards the quarterback.
Mike, I agree.
Yep. So, folks, we are going to wrap this up as it's just about time to go to the second half kickoff. Now, remember, after the game, we will be on the STL Sports Central YouTube page, so you can watch us there. We're working with them, trying to kind of get a co-brand type of thing going on, and we would love to see people over there. But if you're here on the YouTube now, do us a favor. Go ahead and subscribe so that you make sure you don't miss anything. And, of course, you can get Ked and I at our pages as well on X. Mine's at Mike Kegley, and you can see Ked's right there. So we will be back after the game. Until then, folks, go Illini.